Yes.
Great. I call the council meeting into session, and will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Christy Camp.
Here.
Councilmember John Hagenow.
Present.
Councilmember Carol Kerr.
Here.
Councilmember Aaron Parmet. Councilmember Dan Sullivan.
Here.
Councilmember Suzanne Reifstahl. Here. I'm going to get that.
You got it.
Mayor Ken Riley.
Present.
There are 6 members present.
Will you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next item is the approval of the agenda. Did anyone have any changes they wanted to make to the agenda this evening?
Move to approve the agenda as presented.
Second. Moved and seconded. Any discussion? In that case, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor of approving the agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The agenda is approved. Now we have communications to council. If anyone would like to present an issue or to council, now's your opportunity. Please step forward if you're in the room and step up to the microphone. If you're not in the room, please raise your hand and the clerk will answer, will alert me to that so I can again call on you. Is there anyone who would like to speak? No? Is there anyone online who would like to speak? In that case, communications to council was closed. Now we move to the consent agenda. Can I have a motion, or if someone would like to have something removed from the consent agenda, please make a motion or alert us. Councilmember Sullivan.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? In that case, all those in favor of approving the consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Consent agenda is approved. The next item is consideration of ordinances. And with that, we have a first reading of ordinance 2026-0-09, an ordinance of the Town Council of Keystone, Colorado, amending section 2 of ordinance number 2024-0-5 to replace references to the master plan and the sub-basin master plan with the Town of Keystone comprehensive plan. Mr. Town Manager.
Okay, as mentioned in the work session, this ordinance is a housekeeping ordinance now that we actually have an official Town of Keystone comprehensive plan that just replaces references to the master plan or the Snake River master plan in the current land use code that we have.
Any questions of staff? I would like to point out that we did review this this ordinance in our work session prior to the meeting, so the council has had an opportunity to discuss this in the past. Again, any other questions of staff? Not, can I have a motion?
Move to approve the resolution as presented.
All right. Moved and seconded to approve resolution or ordinance.
If I might make a friendly amendment to my own motion, ordinance.
All right. And that's ordinance 2026-0-09, an ordinance of the Council of Town of Keystone, Colorado, amending section 2 of ordinance number 2024-0-05 to replace references to the master plan, the sub-basin master plan with the Town of Keystone comprehensive plan. Is there any discussion on the motion?
There was not a second, I don't believe.
I did leave.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So second?
Yeah. So it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. And will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Christy Camp. Approve. Councilmember John Hagenow.
Approve.
Councilmember Carol Kerr.
Approve.
Councilmember Suzanne Reifstahl. Approve. Councilmember Dan Sullivan,
Approved.
Mayor Ken Riley.
Approved.
6 approves.
The ordinance is passed for first reading. The next item is the second reading of an ordinance in a public hearing. With that, I'll ask the clerk to please read the title into the record.
Ordinance 2026-0-07, an ordinance of Town Council of Town of Keystone, Colorado, amending 2024-0-11 as previously amended regarding the qualifications of the members on the Trails and Open Space Advisory Board.
Right. And at this point, I'll declare the public hearing open. The process that we're going to follow today is the staff will present the ordinance to the council. The council will then have an opportunity to answer questions associated or ask questions associated with that ordinance. After those questions have been answered, we'll then open the floor to public comment, and we'll ask folks to, again, follow the same procedures that we did for communications to council to step forward, have 3 minutes to respond. At the end, and the council will not respond to any individual member's comments, but at the completion of all the public comments, we will then, the council will again have an opportunity to ask questions of staff. And then after those questions have been answered, I'll close the public hearing and the council will then deliberate on the ordinance and make a decision. So with that, Mr. Town Manager.
And with that, Ms. Hertzberg, our town planner, will present.
This ordinance amends the qualifications of the Trails and Open Space Advisory Board members to allow for not only resident and property owning members of the community to be appointed by council, but also members of the community with a set of qualifications that is stated in section B3 of the ordinance. For example, members of the community with experience, knowledge, or expertise in trail planning and maintenance, open space planning and maintenance, outdoor recreation, conservation and natural resources, or other relevant fields or experience. After the first reading of the ordinance, and during the discussion of the first reading, staff was directed to make a minor change to the ordinance so that it gives council the discretion to appoint members of the community to the board and not just residents and property owners. And so that language is reflected in section B3, that the town council may also appoint individuals who are not property owners or residents of the town of Keystone if town council determines that such individuals have experience, knowledge, or expertise in one or more of the following areas, A through F.
Anyone have questions of staff? I want to point out that this ordinance change was something the council requested when we approved the last group of members on the Trails and Open Space Advisory Committee with the recommendation of staff. But again, last chance for any questions of staff. In that case, I'll open the floor to public comment. Again, the same procedures apply as I've mentioned earlier for public comment at the start of a council meeting. Would anyone like to speak to the ordinance? See no one in-house here. Anyone online? In that case, I'll declare the public comment period closed. Does anyone have any further questions of staff? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and turn it into discussion.
I'll just raise our hand.
Thank you. Is your Carol's hand raised?
No?
I was going to make a motion, but you.
Oh, go ahead. Feel free.
Okay. I move that we approve ordinance 2026-0-07, an ordinance of the Town Council of Town of of the Town Council of Town of Keystone, Colorado, amending ordinance 2024-0-11 as previously amended regarding the qualifications of members of the Trails and Open Space Advisory Board.
Second.
It's been moved and second. Is there any discussion?
Just comment. I mean, it's very exciting that we have a lot of people that want to help, that love this town, and that's what this is about. We got good input to make this change, and that's why we're making it.
Yep. And I have to say, I'm particularly excited with the interest that we've had in the vacant council seat, the interest that we've had in actually having, I think it was 2 members applying that for a Trails and Open Space Committee that were eminently qualified. They just didn't meet the specific requirements. And we've had similar responses over on the Planning and Zoning Commission as well. So I'm particularly pleased with the responses that we've had from the community. And this just continues to open up those opportunities. Does anyone else have any comments they'd like to make? Councilmember Kerr.
Just quickly, I'm very pleased that we are clarifying that you need not be a property owner, that we're looking for experience and expertise and across the community. So appreciate this move.
Yep. So any other comments?
I like the consistency with the other boards that are welcoming outside comment or outside influence and opinions coming in with the caveat that they have an interest in the town.
Any other comments? Hearing none, I'll call the question. And will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember John Hagenow.
Approve.
Councilmember Carol Kerr.
Approve.
Councilmember Suzanne Riefstall.
Approve.
Councilmember Dan Sullivan.
Approve.
Mayor Ken Riley.
Approve.
Councilmember Christy Camp. Approve. 6 to approve.
Motion is, the ordinance is approved. Now we move on to resolutions, and the first one is Resolution 2026-21, a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Keystone, Colorado, setting facility use fees. And as a caveat to that, that's really set facility use fees for use of this meeting room and the facilities that exist within our town control in the town hall. Mr. Town Manager.
Okay, we have already adopted a policy on what organizations are allowed to use this. This now sets the fees for use and cleanup if required. And that's no charge for a governmental or quasi-governmental organization, for both local community organizations and other eligible organizations. The fees would be set at $50 an hour, a max of $150 per day. And if additional cleanup is required by staff, that will be charged at $150 an hour. These fees represent a reasonable approximation of what it costs to provide this facility for those uses.
I can make a suggestion.
Yes.
I move to approve, or are we there?
If you want, you can make a motion.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to move to approve resolution 2026-21, resolution of the Town Council of Town of Keystone, Colorado, setting fees for facility use.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Quick question.
Councilmember Sullivan.
We talked about in earlier sessions, work sessions, about insurance of the dough.
I'll look into that, but I think we can, I believe we are covered. We'll look into it. And if not, it will be
The second.
actually a policy thing, not a fee structure.
Okay. Thank you.
Councilmember Hagenow.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would ask staff, and I presumed you already had a plan for this, but tracking the usage of the space, and then also the AV aspect. I really appreciated hearing you when I was online earlier say that the owl and some of the technology would be available. But I guess one thing that sticks in my mind, right, is the staff time and training required to use some of that could easily start to build up. And so, I'm totally in support of it as presented, and I think that this is a great, very loose and easy way for our community to get into this space, but kind of just ask that in a year from now or 6 months or whatever that time frame is, probably roughly around a year, we look back and do a pulse check, right? Is this the right cost? Is this the right model? Do we want to adjust anything? But again, I like it as presented, and I think it's a great start.
And I'll tell you that training and use of the technology was a big concern, and that's why we're not allowing and offering this camera system and this sound system. And we assume at the rental we'll give a brief introduction to the owl to people who want to use it, and strongly recommend that they continue to Google and YouTube.
It would be good to just have a few YouTube links and just.
Yep.
Carol, Councilmember Kerr.
Thank you. It seems like a common concern is that critical resource of staff time. I think you're avoiding a lot of that when you say that you need to have a credit card up ahead and that the contract will clarify all the requirements. It might also include some basic instructions about the owl, anything to minimize the hand holding that might be otherwise required. Otherwise, I think this is very wise and fair.
Any other comments? Yeah, again, I'd like to point out that we did review this resolution during our work session today. We had a very robust conversation regarding the need for this and the support for the community, as well as the staff, potential staff impacts as well. And so while we haven't had a robust discussion tonight, we have already gone through a lot of that consideration as we were going through the decision whether to even continue with this on the agenda this evening. So, in that case,
we have a motion in a second.
So we have a motion in a second. I was just going back and thinking, as I'm notorious for going forward without a motion. So we have a motion in a second. We've had discussion. Is there any further discussion? In that case, I'll call the question and I'll just ask for a show of hands. All those in favor, please raise your hand. All those opposed? It looks like the motion is carried by 6-0. The next item is Resolution 2026-22, a resolution of the Town Council of Town of Keystone, Colorado, authorizing participant loans under the town's Colorado Retirement Association 457B Deferred Compensation Plan, and I'll turn it over to the town manager.
Okay, and I will take this one. This is a resolution changing the current town policy, which does not allow loans off of the 457B retirement plan. The 457B is the one that is not required of staff. It's a voluntary additional retirement plan. The 401A is basically in place of Social Security. We're not changing the policies or practices on this. These changes in the policies will allow people to take loans of up to 50% of their vested funds in their 457 plan, and they will repay it a period of 1 to 5 years. Principal residence loans can go up to 15 years of an interest of prime 0.1. And otherwise, we basically follow all the criteria used by the Colorado Retirement Association, and to tell the truth, used by almost every fund that's managed, every similar type of retirement fund. Are there any questions?
Questions? Councilmember Hagan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Manager, would you just be able to highlight the potential risk we could have with somebody not paying this back? And then any previous context to this, and you kind of alluded to this at the end, right? But this, if you could correct me if I'm wrong, this is kind of the standard across the board. We just did not opt into it originally.
Correct. I'll start with the second part of your question. This is pretty much not just industry standard for governments, but this is pretty standard for any organization that offers these types of retirement plans. The security we have is that they're only allowed to borrow up to 50% of the vested money in the fund. So even if there's a significant downturn in the market, there are funds that will cover this loan if the people are separated or stop repaying. The real risk would be to the borrower themselves if they have to use the funds that exist within their account to repay it. They're subject to a 10% tax penalty if it's an early withdrawal. But we as an organization have almost minimal risk.
Perfect. Thank you.
Other questions of staff? All right, again, this is an item that we discussed in some depth during our work session before we came into this meeting. So if there's no more questions of staff, can I have a motion, please?
Sure. I move to approve resolution 2026-22, a resolution of the town council, the town of Keystone, Colorado, authorizing participant loans under the town's Colorado Retirement Association 457B deferred compensation plan.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor of resolution 2026-22, please raise your hand. Opposed? The motion is carried. The next item is planning matters. Is there any additional planning matters, Mr. Manager?
No, there are not.
Now we go to report of the manager and staff.
Okay, and this will be a relatively short one. Our clerk is busy with business license renewals right now. We just sent that out to all our Keystone businesses, and with learning the system, working the bugs out, still onboarding in the new position, but she's doing a great job. We're very happy and proud of her.
Mr. Manager, sorry, just a quick ask. As you start to get the metrics back on that, can you let us know if there's any material downturn in the number of registered businesses? I asked due to the record-breaking winter we had. It's seen it.
Absolutely. We'll compare those stats.
Thank you.
Finance, we're starting to get into budget season. It's the rest of the year for us in finance, along with normal operating procedures. Public Works, we will be releasing the RFPs for the milling and repaving of West Keystone Road and Montezuma Road this week. We're finishing the plans for our share of Razor Drive, the new bus stop, sidewalk on this side, Tennis Club Road, and the further bus stop, and starting redesign plans for the backwards median that we have. Speaking of medians, we're finishing up the electrical and water repairs that were needed to all the medians. Those should be finished this week also. And getting street sweeping, striping all arranged and lined out. Marketing, you all know more than me because you were at the last presentation. CDOT, we're still moving ahead very well with the Razor Drive intersection with CDOT and the other issues along Highway 6. The chief and I are having our meeting with the last possible Avis speed camera provider next Tuesday morning. And speaking of next Tuesday morning, Tuesday is when the CML conference starts in Westminster.
2 weeks.
That's 2 weeks.
Yeah.
John will be down there next week.
Okay, I would have, thank goodness I mentioned that.
Let me change your hotel.
Just going through.
At the last managers meeting, I know I've discussed the nicotine IGA, how the Summit Foundation was going to administer it. Summit Foundation is backed out of that because of the ballot restrictions on the funds. They did not feel comfortable administering the funds that had those specific legal restrictions. So this is not going to cause a change in the IGA. The managers are establishing a tax board and we will meet. And same sort of process, rather than people going to each individual community, they come in once and they get their asks, and all the town managers together determine the proper distribution of these funds rather than allowing people to hit us up individually and double dip.
What does it look like during vacancies of town managers?
There is always a town manager.
So in a town that has removed a town manager, there'd be a sitting town manager assigned, and that person would assume that duty.
Exactly. And if there needs to be a day or two, the board will shift, but it still meets the idea that we're not going to be picked off one by one. And I make it sound like these nonprofits are cruel and trying to pick us off, but it's just it's a much more efficient.
But in fact, in defense of the nonprofits, when they're coming in, they have no idea who's going to approve what, so they will list all of their projects for each town.
Yep.
So whether whether all of them are funded or overfunded, we don't know. This is a way to
Exactly. It should make it easier for the
nonprofits as well.
Okay. Might have seen the state drought proclamation.
Carol's.
Oh, Councilmember Kerr?
Just a quick question, John,
Can I remind the clerk, please, alert me when a hand gets raised? Go ahead.
Mr. Crone, you mentioned, we've talked several times tonight about preserving staff time. There's so much on everybody's plate. I admire this initiative for the town managers to get together. I'm kind of sorry, it will be one more thing on your plate. Is this going to be a monthly or quarterly meeting that you guys have?
Once a year.
Once a year. Oh, brilliant. Okay.
Yes.
It'll be a big one then.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know
Yep.
the timeline?
It'll still coincide with like October, probably applications need to be in, decisions will be made end of October, early November. We're kind of coinciding with the general grant cycles around so that the nonprofits can plan.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
Yep. The drought proclamation, Councilmember Sullivan asked me to see what impact that would have on us. For those of you who are interested, the state drought plan is 717 pages. But this phase two drought across the state really will have minimal impact on us as a municipality. What it does do is free up easier access to money for water providers, easier for water providers to implement their own specific restrictions, and easier for water providers to interact with each other to offset supply shortages.
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No. I was really done.
So, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So just to kind of ask a stupid question here, right? Even though we have plenty of water, we still have to follow these phased approaches and declarations.
No, we have to follow our water districts.
Okay, so even if the state goes to phase 100 or whatever the most severe one is,
Yeah, all it really does is give more authority to the local water jurisdiction.
okay, and so if we're okay throughout the entirety of the summer, then we're okay, we don't have to do anything.
But I know they are already,
Concerns.
yeah.
Did that change since the last time you reported out that we were good because of the deep?
We're still good. We're still very good, but there might be some big calls downriver, and we'd have to ensure adequate stream flow. Our water district feels very confident and happy about where we're at. But
If senior water rights holders down
yeah,
for their water, then that could impact us.
it probably won't.
Okay.
It almost certainly won't, but it could.
The water district's water rights are very senior.
Yeah.
So unlike some very junior water rights, technically we don't, the water district probably won't have a problem. However, there may be some moves that they may want to make in solidarity with other folks, which is what the town of Silverthorne just did. They're not anticipating a water shortage. They just initiated, I think it's the phase 2 version, which two days a week for watering.
Yeah,
Phase 3.
and so that was my follow-up question to that, right? It was Silverthorne putting in their, I believe phase 3, but I could totally be wrong in that. Tomato. And part of what the article was talking about was that the council had to enact some sort of fine and penalty structure.
The council operates the water district in Silverthorne.
Okay.
We're our own independent, so there's nothing.
Is there anything we would need to do to prevent that would allow us to operate the same way that they've operated with a fine and fee structure, or to force people to
Buy water rights and form our own water district?
No, I mean, like, is there anything we need to do to allow our water
No.
to be able to do that?
They have the right to do that.
Okay.
That's one of the expanded powers that they get under this type of situation. So
Thank you.
it's, the best thing we can do is help our water district, keep our citizens informed of what they're doing. That's really our town's.
And currently we did on the bottom of an email, just convey the suggestions that were made, and from the State of the River meeting about water. It was just that the reason is we are being asked to have restrictions, even though we're not directly impacted, is so that the senior rights can continue to get the water that they need. So they're just asking us to have a little reservation, and then it all should not change.
And it's an ask from everyone there. It can be a demand from our water district, but there's a lot of benefit in showing solidarity.
In fact, the reason that the water district publicized the voluntary measures was because of that. And they were asked to do it by the local water commissioner.
And speaking of drought, we are now at a high fire danger. I anticipate, without a significant change, that we'll probably be going into a fire ban in the relatively near future. The way our fire ordinance sets up, that determination is made by our police chief, who participates in weekly calls with pretty much all the stakeholders.
It really originates from the sheriff, who is the county fire marshal, and it's based on science, based on dry conditions in the national forest, and he makes a call based in cooperation with the Forest Service and all the jurisdictions in Summit. In fact, he's on a weekly call that covers all of Northwest Colorado.
So there's nothing we need to do about that, except we've already given that authority to the police chief, except get the message out if and when it does happen.
Mr. Manager, while we're on the topic, there's news out right now about I-70 being closed due to a fire that initiated right before this meeting at 4:00, right, in Glenwood Canyon. So when we talk about our emergency evacuation plan, and I know that I asked you offline a little bit, but I'm asking you to kind of share in this meeting here, what does that emergency evacuation plan look like? What does the ability to communicate to our citizens look like, specifically variable message boards? And God forbid, if we were to go into an evacuation state, how can we get that out to us?
Okay, so the emergency evacuation plan has not been adopted yet. It's very close to being finalized. That being said, we as a town have already had these discussions with Keystone Resort and with the town of Dillon, and with CDOT to use variable message boards, the orange boards, to advertise pre-evacuation issues like that. We'll be sending out in our email messaging about, have your go bag ready, things like that. And, but I think we're prepared, as prepared as having gone through an evacuation. We're as prepared as you can be. It will never go smoothly. The county is already, there are steps on opening up Swan Mountain Road in case of an evacuation. They are prepared to do that almost instantly.
I believe it's less than 2 hours notice. The road can be open for any emergency.
Yeah. So I think we're as good as we can get. And after that, it'll be a matter of our police department staff literally driving through communities. And if you see a car in the driveway, contacting all the HOAs, just making sure people are aware. And my last thing is we're within 10 days of the start of summer events here in Keystone, and within about 3 weeks, I think, at A Basin. First Summer Afternoon Club will be Thursday, June 25th. They have some concerts. First big festival is Bacon and Bourbon Fest, where Keystone, we with the wayfinding people are setting up a tent there just as kind of reach out. So you'll see our first Keystone tent with our logo. And at Beer and Bacon Fest, that'll be nice. And our next meeting, I want to remind everyone, is not for 3 weeks, because 2 weeks from now, I'll be at CML. No. So June 30th is our next town council meeting.
Any questions, staff? Any report of?
Actually,
Mayor.
I do have one, if I could interrupt.
All right.
Mayor, can you hear me? I'd like to ask Mr. Manager, could you give us a briefing on the 4th of July, what we can expect?
Yes, Gabby has been a superstar in planning this. We actually had a staff meeting yesterday, I guess, outlining some of the volunteer situations. It's going to run from 10 to 2, basically, at Lakeside Village. There'll be bounce house games, kids games, egg and spoon games, things like that. Live music. We're providing some foods, cotton candy, popcorn, sodas, and Vail Resorts is going to be selling more substantial food and drinks at this. It's open to everyone. We'll have signage out soon, and we'll be reaching out to you all probably within the next week or so with the details on exactly how this is going to operate and where it's going to go.
Great.
Suggestion.
Looking forward to it.
And I know we were talking, a few of us, about our camp background back in the day, right? But might be good to extend the offers to the various summer camp operators.
We have offered actually several, including Keystone Science School, and then some of the other nonprofits to set up a tent they wish to reach out. We limited it to an extent. We reached out to people who we thought High Country Conservation Center, Building Hope, people that provide services that our community might not be aware they provide but might need, as opposed to just every nonprofit, because we are limited on space. But Keystone Science School was reached out to.
I meant to get the campers to come, but
Oh, yeah. Okay, good idea. Yeah, that's a great idea. I don't know. Well, they know about it because we.
reached out.
Yeah,
It may be good just to let them know that they're invited.
yep, absolutely. Very good idea. Very good idea.
Any other questions of staff? All right, now we have the report of mayor and council. Any council members have a report?
If you want.
Well, you were going to take it.
So we had a coffee with council 2 Mondays ago. It was heavily attended by council members and sparsely attended by citizens. I think that this is the first coffee or cocktail with council that did not have any public show up to it. And so in the just over 2 years that we've been doing it, I think that this is the fluke. I don't think that this by any means degrades the quality of the program, but it was not as sparsely or is not as attended as we'd hoped for.
And if I may, especially in these
Folders.
May, November, October, staff will double down on our reach out to make sure people.
Perfect. Thank you. Carol, Dan, anything?
No, yeah, I'm not sure. We may have missed it. It was early in the month. The advertising, I mean. Yeah.
I shared that.
Carol, Councilmember Kerr.
So I wanted to follow up on that. Normally, it would be time to schedule an evening event. I think it's a good idea to mix this up and make it available to working people who cannot show up on Monday at 9 a.m. But having said that, I'm thinking maybe July, we should pass on that and look at doing that in August, because in part because of the busyness of the first days of July in this county, to include our own 4th of July event. And I don't want to push for something that I will not be able to attend and support. So do you all want to do a first Monday, 9 a.m. steep? Or
I think coming off the festivities of the weekend, a morning on a Monday probably wouldn't be the most attended. I think that we should still keep the evening mix up. So like I would support doing another evening session. Not necessarily locked into the first Monday, because as we learned, the first Monday doesn't necessarily mean anything. It means what we promote out to people is what people will attend. So I would be in support of pushing it beyond the first Monday, but I still think we should do an evening session to target those the different demographics of folks that might be able to attend.
well, I appreciate that support for that idea. So maybe if we could ask the staff to look at someone at an organization that would be willing to host us on the 6th, 7th, or 8th, the first Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday of that week, 6, 7, 8. I don't know whose responsibility that would be these days.
The evening.
We'll look into that. And I would like to also stress, we expect any council members who can be to be available at the 4th of July, also to respond to questions or comments.
Mhm.
Any other reports of council?
Would a report on river be other
ahead.
matters or?
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. The state relies heavily on River Watch data, with volunteers gathering approximately 1/3 of all stream water quality data for the state. River Watch is through the Colorado Parks and Wildlife It's a state volunteer water quality program. I'm just excited that we already have one site that is measuring river quality by volunteers through River Watch at the Keystone Science School. And there is now potential for a second site to be at the top of town at North Fork of the Snake River. And I have the coordinates of where that would be. It's a potential site, and the next steps are being taken by Blue River Watershed Group, who's trying to put this data into a usable format for residents and anyone that wants to use river quality data, visitors for recreation and town planning, and for the state, but they're putting it in a dashboard. So they are the ones that are going to decide with consultation, which will be the next site. So there have been 8 chosen, and 6 will be decided in the next month. And that site is one of the potential sites. And I just want to say also it's a low barrier for workforce participation, resident participation, even visitors from Denver or anywhere really can participate. And it's a low barrier because you don't have to do it once a month. It's offered and it is performed once a month, but as a volunteer, you can show up just once. And so it's flexible and Yes.
Councilmember Kirk.
Yeah, before we go, I want to make sure we identify the success that the town cleanup day was. Number 2, we had good support from staff and council. We had very good support from community members across Keystone. It was fun and inspirational.
Yeah, I want to add that was, I believe, a tremendous success. I think Gabby did a wonderful job in organizing it. We had over 80 participants. I heard over a ton of trash. I believe we're starting to see the payoff of running these annually because there was, I believe, less trash than last year along Highway 6, which indicates you got a lot of the old time stuff out as we're going forward. So kudos to staff for putting that on and the community for supporting.
Yeah, there were, I believe, 83 people who actually signed in and significantly more who showed up. So,
And if you look at all the pins on the map that people took while they were doing work, a tremendous amount of this community was covered. And if anyone sees any trash in any part of Eastern Keystone, he didn't pick it up.
Mayor Pro Tem for the record.
Yeah. Anything else from council? Councilmember Hagenau.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I volunteered myself, I believe last council meeting to make a survey for us for the HOA meetings. I've done a first draft of that and I will be sending out, thank you to those that I reached out to for some feedback.
When you say a survey, what do you mean?
So the survey would be, we talked about this.
I got you.
Yeah, it was basically a way to,
After action.
an after action report as a way to gather data that we can make informed decisions on, and kind of take this wealth of knowledge that we are gifted with when we go to these HOA presentations and memorialize it in a way that we can actually use it and action it moving forward. And I had this great idea and asked staff if they could help, and then I volunteered myself to make it. So I will be sending that out to council for any round 2 feedback. If you wouldn't mind sending me any feedback on that, and then we'll turn it over to John and his team to manage the day-to-day.
Speaking of HOA meetings, I'll pull one item off of my list. I set out to council and I think staff as well, the list of HOA meetings that we have scheduled. Please, if you could attend and represent the town on those meetings, let me know. I'm maintaining that list as I did last year. The Mayor Pro Tem, I and the manager are in the process of putting together the information for a basic presentation we get no more than 15 minutes on the agenda, so it's a relatively short, but to tout the accomplishments of the town in the last year, and as well as discuss what's planned for the future, to form as a springboard for discussion with the HOA members.
These are valuable and informative meetings.
Extremely important.
Can we historically, have we had more than the amount listed in this document?
Oh, we had almost 30 last year. It's just starting.
Okay.
You don't get the request normally until a month or so before the meeting, and these will go all the way through December, into December.
Perfect.
We're just starting.
And we just respond to you if we're available.
Which one you'd like to attend?
Thank you.
And I'll put you down. And I'm going to be one of the fillers on ones where we don't have representation. I assume, like last year, staff will probably ensure that we have either the manager or the deputy manager attending one of the meetings, each of the meetings. I want to point out that the highest score from any HOAs were from the ones that the deputy manager attended last year.
You can gladly point that out.
Anything else from council?
And that was it.
Yeah, no, quick one.
right.
About the marketing, when we had our special meeting, Dave Santucci, our consultant, took a bunch of questions from the council. Several of you sent questions to me. I want to assure you I sent them all on. I don't have anything back, but I will get it to you as soon as I can, because we're going to look at that again on the 30th of June. And by that time, we're hoping to have feedback from the Business Advisory Board as well. Thank you.
We also did send that out to the Business Advisory Board and ask them to please review it and provide comments back to council on their thoughts and as well. Anything else from council before I roll in? All right. Last couple of weeks, I had a meeting with Jody Church. Jody is the Senior Vice President for Destination Resorts for Vail Resorts. Shannon worked for her. My connection with her was she was the GM here at Keystone back about 8 years ago. So I got to know her fairly well during that time period. And she asked to reconnect when I ran into her at the National Brotherhood of Ski Sports back in February. It was a very good morning session, intended for coffee. Unfortunately, there was nothing open in Lakeside Village to have coffee, but we still had a good meeting. And we discussed a lot of things ranging from marketing, their view of or the opening the mountain 7 days a week, the Adventure Center, a whole plethora of concepts, and she provided some perspectives on her view of the world as well. We had a brief discussion also on the PUD and incorporation and working together. And I did correct her. She thought we were slow rolling any discussion on the PUD, and I was able to disabuse her or at least let her know that we've actually reached out and haven't had a response from the Vail attorney. So I think we've opened a line of communication that's very positive as we're going forward in the future, and I plan to keep that going. In addition, I had after the marketing session, I'd arranged a meeting with the GM up at Arapahoe Basin. I had lunch with him. It was a very good session. We talked about potential ways that the town could cooperate together to support each other. He's going to take that interest back to his marketing guys and get back to us of what they believe may make sense. But there's a lot of things that they're looking at. Their guests, many of their guests already stay here in Keystone. One of the things we did talk about is that we have, they have the Icon Pass versus the Epic Pass. It would be nice to be known as Arapahoe Basin's of Icon Pass, a bed base for them. And perhaps we could steal some of lodging nights from Copper Mountain, who right now has that locked up. So just an initial exploratory get to know each other. It went very well, and it's opened the doors so that eventually the staff can get work directly with Copper Mountain on any particular issues that may bear fruit in the future.
Mr. Mayor.
Yeah.
It might behoove Arapahoe Basin to remove Fristow and Silverthorne as their 2 of 3 preferred hotel vendors on their lodging site, if they would like us to be their bedded community.
We'll work on
it. I won't guarantee that.
I'm not saying that, I'd like a guarantee, right? But if,
Well, do they have Kindred on there?
they do have Kindred up top.
Well, the reason Kindred is on top is because they negotiated a special arrangement with them where Kindred guests, they
Get a car.
Kindred will actually provide transportation to and from Arapahoe for them. So, yeah, I suspect that has to do more with the Icon Pass than anything else.
And short history, not long history is Ski Tip Lodge was built for Arapahoe Basin, but
Far be it from me to tell them what they can and can't put on the website to get our support. But what we'd really like to do is get our management companies involved to be able to eventually put together packages that could support Arapahoe, not only for ski season, but also for summer events and those sort of things as well. And those are the type of things that I've stirred his intellectual juices on looking at to bring folks together. He frankly believes that a big number of his folks already stay in Keystone, which may or may not be true, but I think a more formalized relationship with the town could be a benefit to him and certainly a benefit to us on the marketing side. The Colorado Municipal League, John mentioned, is coming up. Who all is attending? Christy?
I am.
Have you registered?
Not yet. I think we're
Get with John.
okay, there might registration.
Registration's open till the 12th.
Okay,
I was going to help Suzanne tomorrow.
Good. Get her registered. For those of you who are new, also provide them the tax exempt forms, because when you register, you provide them the tax exempt form, and you are not charged any taxes on your stay. And in the case of Westminster, that's a significant.
and the town pays for the,
okay.
Yeah.
this is,
Will I get the tax exempt form?
yeah.
You or Maddie? Okay. Thank you.
We've already talked about the cleanup. The Business Advisory Council, Carol attended it as well. I think went well. They're starting to look at implementation of some of the RTAP objectives, particularly in relationship to Lakeside Village. But I think there was a desire by the group to expand that to all of Keystone versus just of Lakeside Village. And also it was brought up that we are losing 3 businesses over in Mountain View Plaza. I've sent an email out to council members on that. Of course, we've already lost Los Locos. Mountain View Sports has been purchased and is moving across the street into Gateway Building. The new owner is Kerr, who owns the bicycle shop and ski shop over in Mill Creek, just off, really part of River Run, but not part of K&C. And he has a strong reputation in the county. He also has a similar shop over in Copper Mountain. And he learned to ski here at Keystone. So, but that's a concern that the Business Advisory Council did express as well. Not a lot we can necessarily do about that to recruit businesses, but it is an economic piece that we need to be concerned about. I would hate to have Mountain View Plaza turned into another Lakeside Village. The of Kindred opening, they're going to have a ribbon cutting. I believe it's Friday the 25th. We'll have, I haven't got the final date yet, but that will be occurring, and that will be the official grand opening of Kindred, and that'll be just before Bacon and Bourbon as well. And it's so encourage everyone to attend, and when they are going to do the ribbon cutting, I'd request the staff include that in the information going out on our email list to our residents. I think we all had an opportunity in May to attend some of the pre-opening events over in Kindred. I wasn't able to make those, but I have had an opportunity to dine at two of their restaurants. The food was very good. I think it's potentially going to be a significant increase in quality and a lot of opportunity there when the marketing committee gets going to look at how we can leverage what they bring to this community. Their business advisory. And I've already mentioned the HOA meetings and so that's basically my report. It's been an interesting couple of weeks. Town manager goes away and I go wild.
It's part of the job.
Yeah, and the last point is I did go to both Shannon and to Mark Kimball to take a look to see if they'd be willing to bring back for Lakeside Village a taste of Keystone. And they are currently looking at that internally, and we'll have a response back. That would be probably either the weekend after Labor Day or the following weekend, again in that September slow season. Labor Day is really off the table because that's when KNC has their Oktoberfest. So. Anything else? The hand goes up, and I'm expecting a comment, Carol.
No, it's A-OK.
All right. And so that concludes our report of the mayor and council. Any other matters we want to talk about tonight? All right. Then in that case, we've exhausted the agenda and the council meeting is adjourned.
It's like